June 13, 1979, the Houston Astrodome was the launching pad for one of the most ambitious initiatives ever envisioned by Southern Baptists, Bold Mission Thrust. This particular evening, in the middle of their annual convention meeting, was set aside to focus on this new movement. At the heart of Bold Mission Thrust was the goal of presenting the gospel of Christ to every person in the world by 2000, barely over 20 years away. As Grady Cawthon writes in his book, What Happened to the Southern Baptist Convention, rationally, many recognized that it was impossible, but most agreed it should be tried. This night was the culmination of years of planning, meeting, conferring, exhorting, and financing, and even of a conference at the White House with a Southern Baptist who happened to be President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. The evening included a dramatic appeal by the President of the Foreign Mission Board, Baker James Cawthon, for support, both prayerful and financial, of missionaries who were to be sent far afield. In attendance were many SBC-appointed missionaries who were asked to come stand on the field of the Astrodome alongside other Baptists who pledged to support them. Grady Cawthon writes that Billy Graham preached that night, calling for volunteers to go where God wants you to go and do what God wants you to do. As God had blessed so many Billy Graham invitations over the years, 1,200 responded to this one. As I said yesterday, Bold Mission Thrust was put into action at the 1979 annual meeting of the SBC. But Grady Cawthon, in What Happened to the Southern Baptist Convention, describes preparation leading up to that meeting. This movement, he writes, had begun 3 years before, when a Missions Challenge Committee made 15 recommendations emphasizing the need to let every person in the world hear the gospel in the next 25 years. The Home and Foreign Mission Boards, Baptist Sunday School Board, seminaries, and commissions all began working together to support Bold Mission Thrust. In 1977, detailed plans were presented, including the recommendation, which was adopted, that 5,000 individuals and churches be enlisted to secure and fund 5,000 volunteers who would go to mission sites around the world for 1 or 2 year terms, with the hope expressed that 100,000 would sign up for shorter-term mission efforts. 1978 saw the establishment of 5-year cycles, each cycle having its own goals. Goals for the first 5-year cycle included the planting of 5,800 church-type missions and the addition of 1,000 career home and foreign missionaries. Each church, Cawthon writes, was urged to enlarge its financial base by 15% annually and to double its cooperative program giving. By 1979, all 6 seminaries were fully involved, as well as 50 colleges and universities. The laity were buying into the effort in large numbers, and financial support was increasing. The Southern Baptist Convention, Cawthon continues, was beginning to move in new ways with new levels of cooperation in every area of denominational life, the result of goodwill, cooperation for the common good, and commitment to a common goal. But, Cawthon tells us, there was another agenda. The impact of this ambitious mission movement was blunted by the efforts of those who were focused more on power and control than on missions. The fundamentalist takeover is a movement of its own, which we'll discuss in some detail next week. But for now, suffice it to say that if only for the damage it wreaked on Baptist mission efforts, it's a story that today's Baptists cannot afford to ignore. Bold Mission Thrust barely got off the ground. Take 23. Bold Mission Thrust barely got off the ground before being overshadowed by the efforts of a political machine to take control of the Southern Baptist Convention. The ensuing focus on power and control relegated missions to a back seat. In a June 2001 article in the Baptist Standard of Texas, Mark Wingfield reflected on the results of Bold Mission Thrust. He noted that it began as a 25-year plan that took root with the first annual report given in 1976 establishing the program and its primary goal. It developed in stages involving plans and goals for different areas and institutions of Baptist life. The final report, given to the SBC meeting in June 2001, closed the book. Wingfield lists some of the results as reported to International Mission Board trustees in March 2001 by Senior Vice President Avery Willis. Missions volunteers, an increase from 1,200 to over 30,000, largely resulting from the creation of the Mission Service Corps. Countries in which SBC missionaries were serving, 153, surpassing the goal of 125. Missionaries serving in those countries, 4,946, just short of the goal of 5,000. Total U.S. churches and missions, just under 47,000, over 3,000 shy of the goal. Overseas churches, 60,000, well short of the goal of 75,000. Overseas baptisms increased from 80,000 to over 450,000, but the goal had been a tenfold increase to 800,000. Membership in overseas churches, 5.6 million, over 3 million short of the goal. Bible study enrollment, just over 8 million, well short of the goal of 13 million. Finally, baptisms in the U.S., for which the goal had been a 10% annual gain, were actually lower in 2000 than in 1975. So the results of Bold Mission Thrust are a mixed bag. Southern Baptists actually exceeded some goals, fell just short of a few, and missed others by distressingly large margins. As Mark Wingfield points out, some goals that weren't met were based on unrealistic expectations in the first place. Nevertheless, we're left to wonder what might have been had Southern Baptist focus not been distracted by an obsession of some over power and control.